Okay, everyone, buckle up because we're diving into the future of podcasts, and it's gonna be a wild ride.
We're talking AI, specifically GPT.
Which I gotta admit sounds pretty intimidating.
It's not, I promise. Think of today as your crash course in all things GPT, and more importantly, how this tech is poised to revolutionize podcasting.
Okay, sold. You've piqued my curiosity. Where do we even begin?
Well, we're diving deep into some fascinating research. We got our hands on GPT-gestützte Monetarisierung von Podcasts for.pdf, a German text all about podcasters using GPT to boost their success.
Okay, before we get too far, for those of us who don't speak German, what does that title even mean?
Basically, it translates to GPT-supported monetization of podcasts. Catchy, right?
Straight to the point. So break it down for me. What exactly is GPT?
GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer.
In English, please.
Basically, it's like a super-powered writing assistant driven by AI. It's been fed a massive amount of data, so it understands and generates human-quality text.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So instead of me, slaving over episode descriptions at 2:0 a.m., this GPT thing could whip them up in a flash.
Precisely. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, there's more.
Way more. Imagine this GPT creating your show notes and transcripts automatically. Bam! Your content is now way more accessible. Listeners can find exactly what they're looking for, and search engines, well, they love that stuff.
You know, I've totally bounced from podcasts because I couldn't find a specific topic. Like, if there's no search function, I'm out of there.
And that's where GPT gets really interesting. Picture personalized episode recommendations.
Hold on, like Spotify Wrapped, but for podcasts.
Exactly. GPT analyzes listening data and suggests episodes based on individual preferences.
That's next level. Talk about making listeners feel seen and heard.
It's all about creating that tailored experience, which is what makes GPT so revolutionary.
Okay, so far we've got GPT writing my episode descriptions, magically generating transcripts, and even curating personalized recommendations for my listeners. I'm already wondering, what's the catch?
Well, we've got to be smart about how we use this tech. But in terms of what GPT can do, we're just scratching the surface.
Okay, now you've got my full attention. Lay it on me. What else can GPT do?
Let's talk money. This German report highlights how GPT can boost podcast revenue.
Now you're speaking my language. Finding sponsors is always a challenge.
And that's where GPT comes in. Imagine feeding it your listener data. Demographics, interests, listening habits. GPT analyzes it all and pinpoints the absolute best sponsors for your podcast.
So instead of sending out generic pitches, I could use GPT to create laser-focused proposals for brands that actually vibe with my podcast.
Precisely. Sponsors that resonate with your audience, leading to better results.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if my podcast isn't built on sponsorships? Are there other ways GPT can help bring in the big bucks?
Absolutely. Think premium content. You could offer bonus episodes or personalized advice exclusively for subscribers. And guess what? GPT can help create that content too.
It's like having an army of AI assistants working behind the scenes. This is starting to sound less like science fiction and more like the near future.
And let's not forget about interactive experiences. GPT can create quizzes, polls, even generate realistic dialogue for fictional characters in your podcast.
Hold on, are we talking AI co-hosts that don't demand a salary?
Welcome to the future of podcasting, and this German report actually showcases podcasters already doing this.
Okay, enough teasing. Give me the details. How are these podcasting pioneers using GPT to level up their shows?
Well, they talk about Lisa, who used GPT to completely transform her podcast about healthy eating.
Okay, I'm all ears. What did Lisa do?
She had this great concept, but struggled to reach a wider audience. GPT swooped in and helped her tailor her content.
So she used GPT to figure out what her listeners actually wanted.
Exactly. Remember targeted sponsorships. GPT helped Lisa land a deal with a major health food company because she had the data to back it up.
Real, tangible results. I love it. It's not just about making podcasting easier, it's about making it better. What about this other person, Marcus, the finance podcast guy? How to use GPT?
Well, Marcus was sitting on a gold mine of information, but it was buried within his episodes.
Ugh, I've been there. Trying to find specific info in a podcast can feel impossible.
Right. So Marcus used GPT to transcribe his episodes and highlight key terms. Suddenly, his whole back catalog was searchable, and he started attracting listeners interested in those specific topics.
That's genius. Instead of hoping people stumble across his podcast, he made it easier for them to find exactly what they were looking for.
And that is how you stay ahead of the game in the world of podcasting.
This has been seriously eye-opening, but let's be real, it can't all be sunshine and roses. What about the challenges of incorporating AI into the creative process?
You're right to think about that. It's not about GPT hitting a button and taking over your podcast.
So more like a superpowered assistant,
Yeah.
not a ghostwriter stealing my thunder.
Exactly. GPT amplifies your strengths. It can help brainstorm episode ideas or draft scripts, but your voice should always be front and center.
That's a relief. My listeners tune in for me, not a robot. Speaking of which, any other things to watch out for in the world of AI-powered podcasting?
This German report stresses responsible use. For example, if you use GPT to generate content, be transparent with your listeners.
Makes sense. Don't want them thinking I'm passing off AI content as my own.
Exactly. Transparency is key. It builds trust and keeps things open about how AI is changing creative fields.
Transparency, check. Anything else? Gotta make sure I'm using this tech authentically.
Always double-check GPT's output. It's trained on tons of data, but it's still learning. It can make mistakes or misinterpret things.
So fact-checking is still king, even in the age of AI. Like having a super smart intern, you still gotta review their work.
Precisely. Your judgment is crucial.
This is mind-blowing. We've covered personalized content, smarter sponsorships, even AI co-hosts, but also using this tech responsibly and transparently.
And that's what matters.
Yeah.
GPT can revolutionize podcasting, but it's up to us to use it ethically and enhance the listening experience, not take away from it.
Well said. Looking ahead, what else can GPT unlock? What's on the horizon for podcasts?
Imagine ads so personalized they feel like helpful recommendations, seamlessly woven in.
Now we're talking. There's got to be a better way to do ads in podcasts. Instead of jarring interruptions, what if they actually resonated with listeners?
Exactly. And beyond traditional ads, think interactive storytelling with AI characters, blurring fiction and reality, like a choose-your-own-adventure.
Ooh, that's a next level. Listeners could interact with AI characters making choices that shape the story.
Precisely. Limitless possibilities. Here's something to ponder. What if AI could generate entire episodes based on a topic?
Ooh, that's both fascinating and a tad intimidating. Raises questions about creativity and authorship. Like, who gets credit when an AI creates a hit podcast?
That's a whole other deep dive. But for now, stay curious, experiment responsibly, and see where this goes. It's an exciting time for podcasting.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this. If GPT can do all this now, what will podcasting look like in a few years? What could you achieve with this tech? The future is here, and it's sounding amazing. Okay, my mind is officially blown. Personalized ads, interactive audio dramas, AI generating entire episodes. It's a lot to process.
It really is a brave new world, but remember, GPT is a tool.
We're still the ones calling the shots. Phew.
Exactly. We just get to use this super powerful tool to make our podcasts even better.
So where do I even start? If I want to try GPT for my podcast, what's step one?
I'd say jump right in, start experimenting. There are already tons of GPT-powered tools for podcasters. Try a few out, see what clicks.
Experimentation. Got it. It's like getting a new microphone. You just got to play around with it. Any tips for using GPT effectively?
Start small. Don't try to do everything at once. Maybe use GPT to generate some episode titles or social media posts for your latest recording.
Okay, starting small, I can do that. It is easy to get overwhelmed with all the possibilities.
Right. And then as you get comfortable, you can try some of the more advanced stuff, like having GPT analyze your listener data, or even draft those super targeted sponsor proposals we talked about.
So it's all about easing GPT into my workflow, seeing how it can make things better, but not handing over complete control.
Exactly. And don't forget, this technology is evolving constantly. What's cutting edge today might be old news tomorrow.
It really feels like we're just at the very beginning of a whole new era of podcasting.
We are. And that's what makes it so exciting. Think back to the early days of podcasting. No one knew how huge it would become. Now with AI changing the game, who knows what the future holds?
I, for one, am incredibly excited to find out. This deep dive has been amazing. Thanks for taking us into the world of GPT and the future of audio.
It's been my pleasure. Always fun to geek out about tech and the power of podcasting.
And to all our listeners, remember what we talked about today. What if you were the one to change the podcasting world with AI? The tools are out there. The possibilities are endless. Go forth and create something amazing.